Hey everyone, Amelia here. I just wanted to come on quickly and talk to you guys a little bit about the Olympics because this is such an exciting time and it is so fun to get to watch everyone competing in Tokyo. So I hope you've all been watching. I've had a hard time because we don't have cable, and so I've been like so frustrated with NBC and trying to figure out like where I can actually watch the Olympics. I can get on for like 30 minutes and then it kicks me off. But I've been managing. I was able to watch quite a bit of it. Of course, we've done the Grand Prix, and then tonight or tomorrow is the Grand Prix special. And the Grand Prix basically is just the qualifier for the team competition. The special will decide the team medals, and then the freestyle will be for the individual medals. So it's kind of a new format this year. There's only 3 riders as opposed to normally there's 4 riders with a drop score. So I was just going to kind of talk through some of the riders, some of the stuff that I've been noticing, and I'm curious to know what you guys think. You know, who's your favorite rider so far? Who are you rooting for? It's so fun to see some amazing riders, and you know, it's also really kind of comforting to see that even at this level that there's mistakes and sometimes the horses spook. I mean, when you think about it, it's incredible that we can take horses from, like, I'm in California and there's a few horses in the Olympics from California. So these horses flew from California to Florida, and then from Florida to Aachen, where they did quarantine in Aachen. And then it was like cold and rainy in Aachen. And then from Aachen in Germany all the way to Tokyo. And now it's like super hot and humid in Tokyo. And it's really amazing that the horses are able to do this, that they're able to adapt. I know the heat has been a big concern. They actually have these like temperature sensors that they're using in the warm-up to sense the temperatures of the horses. So then they can tell, like if a horse starts to get overheated, they'll tell the rider like, hey, your horse is getting overheated, you should go into the cooling station. The barns there are air conditioned, I've heard. And so it's cool how they're, you know, using technology to help the horses as much. It was so funny though, I was noticing how all of the riders looked so hot during their test because the camera was kind of like zooming in on their faces during the walk and also at the end of the ride, and everyone just looked like they were like just gasping for air. The only one, like, I was amazed. I thought that Stefan looked like he held up to the heat the best. So that was funny. But like Sabine Schut-Kerry, at the end of her ride, they zoomed on her face and she looked really hot. So it's for sure really hot and humid. I heard they have a typhoon now coming. So I can't even imagine how exciting and stressful it is for all of the horses and all of the riders over there in Tokyo. So let's see. I saw someone likes Total US so far. I think that, yeah, there's a lot of just incredible horses, incredible riders. As far as, we'll start with the Americans. I'm an American, but I try not to be too biased. It was interesting going into the Olympics because we kind of thought that the top scoring rider would be Adrian and then Stefan and then Sabine. Now Sabine had like just an amazing ride on Sanseo, and it's cool because Sabine has trained Sanseo since he was a 3-year-old, and he's a Californian horse. I saw him when he was like a 4-year-old. I saw her compete him, and so I've kind of seen him develop up all through the years. What I loved about her ride was just her hands and her connection. Like her hands, she had such forward feeling hands. You could just tell that she was riding like from her leg to the hand. And then Sanseo's neck is just so beautiful and soft. Like he really reaches out into the contact, and that was just beautiful to watch. Like particularly the last center line, the last piaffe and passage was was amazing. It kind of gave me chills. And so I'm really happy for Sabine. Sabine also trains with Christine Traurig, and Christine Traurig has helped me a lot with my horses. She's an amazing coach and trainer. And so she's there helping Sabine. And I really congratulate Christine and Sabine, and I wish them the best of luck for the special and then also for the freestyle coming up. So that's what I loved about Sabine. Moving on to Stefan, I think Soup and Casper is a beautiful horse. He's over 18 hands, so he's like a massive horse. And so, Soup and Casper definitely looked like he had a little bit of trouble with the heat. Like in the walk, he was breathing really hard. And for big horses, I think that that's definitely harder on them when it's so hot and so humid. So that looked like it was a bit of a challenge for Stefan. What I love about Soup and Casper is his extension. So his like extended canter is, if you ever see it in person, it's like crazy. Like it's literally like 6 strides across the whole diagonal, and the horse just lifts up and grows, and it's just amazing to watch his extension. So that's what I love about Stefan. Adrian Lyle and Salvino. For those of you guys that are in the academy, the monthly workshops, one thing that we talked about last month was tempo and rhythm. And one thing that's really interesting about Salvino is that his piaffe tempo is actually a little bit slower than the passage. And this is really unusual because most horses have a little bit of a slower passage tempo because the passage has so much lift in it. But with Salvino, the piaffe actually settles in to be a little bit slower than the passage. So that's something that's really interesting about him. He has a really beautiful piaffe and passage. I think that that's one of my favorite things to watch with him, and just his overall trot tour is really, really lovely to watch. So that was exciting. What else do I have here written down? So Isabel Worth, of course, and Bella Rose, her piaffe is amazing. It's just so breathtaking to watch her piaffe. I think she got like 5 10s and 2 9s. So I'll link also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll link below where you guys can check out all the scores, and you can actually see movement by movement what the judge gives for all the scores. So Isabel and Bella Rose, you know, they had some other stuff that wasn't as strong. Like their extensions weren't as strong. There were some other weak links to their test, but because Isabel is getting these like 9s and 10s on the piaffe and the passage and the transitions, that really boosts her score because the piaffe is always a coefficient. So you get a coefficient for the piaffe, you get another score for the transition into and out of the piaffe, and then you get another score for the passage. So that is like a big chunk of points there, and part of the reason that Isabel is scoring so high is just because of that. Even though in Isabel's ride, like the walk wasn't great and the extensions weren't like magnificent, but she makes up a lot of points in the piaffe passage. So that is why. The other thing I always love about Isabel is just her connection. Like the horses all just look so supple and so soft, and like, again, kind of like Sabine, really out to the hand. So I really admire that about Isabel. Okay, yes, I see Linda's talking about Catherine Dufour. Yeah, Catherine is, again, she's also one of my favorites with Bohemian this year. And it's really admirable. I mean, Catherine is so young, and so she had her other horse, Cassidy, at the Rio Olympics. And now she's brought up another international Grand Prix horse, which is really cool to see when riders can start replicating, you know, and bringing another horse along. But Bohemian, for one, his name is just awesome. And then, you know, again, his piaffe and passage is really phenomenal. Just everything about that horse. He looks like such a powerful horse, and her seat is amazing. I mean, I just love how her legs just hang there and her heels stay down. And it really just is a beautiful picture. So yeah, Catherine's amazing. Who else? Oh, Charlotte Dujardin, of course. How could we forget about Charlotte? So she's riding Geo in the Olympics, and I couldn't believe how good he looked, really, because he's very young. Yes, Mindy, Geo. She was like, that was just amazing. I think he's 9 or 10. I think 9. I can't remember. But just the expression in that horse, like he just looks so happy. What I love about her trot half passes is just how much reach and crossing she gets in the front legs. Like that is so amazing how much he reaches over with his front leg. And then of course the Piaffe and Passage. And that's why, she's doing so well with him, is because he's scoring really, really high in the Piaffe Passage. Like we talked about, it's about 33% of your score. Okay, yes, you guys, I see he's 10, but still, that's really young to be at the Olympics. And the Piaffe Passage is about 33% of your score. So where Charlotte's getting a lot of 9s and 10s on her Piaffe and Passage in her transitions, then that's really boosting her score on Geo. He's a small horse, but she's smaller, and it just, he makes up for it with how expressive he is. Like his body is small, but it looks like he has these big spider legs, and he's just like reaching through the air. So I'm really excited for Charlotte, and it's really fun to watch her on that horse. That horse actually came from California, and I know the girl that owned him, and then Charlotte bought him from her. And there's been a video circulating around on Facebook. I'll try to link it below. But basically, my husband keeps calling me. But there's a video of him when he was 3. And as a 3-year-old, like Geo just looked like a normal horse. Like honestly, he looked like a pony. Like you would look at that horse and just be like, it's like a nothing horse. It has 3 good gaits, but it's tiny. And, now look at him today. There's also another video of the German girl, Jessica, and her horse, Delaria, as a young horse. And again, it's like when you look at these horses as young horses, and then you look at them now, they look like totally different horses. And that's really important to remember. Like no horse comes out as a 3-year-old looking like these horses in the Olympics. It's training. Like dressage is training. It's not about buying. Dressage means training. So that's really cool to see like what the horse looked like as a 3-year-old, and then what the horse looks like now, and just see that progression. And it just goes to show you that, like a normal horse with really good training, a normal horse that has 3 good gaits and good conformation with really good training, can get there and can make it to the Olympics. So definitely. I also wanted to talk about, so there were a few riders that had a hard time with their horses, and I always just have such empathy for these guys. There was a Finnish rider, and his horse looked really, really cool. I forget his name, but he's from Finland. And he goes down the center line, he does his first extension. At the end of the extended trot, the horse like stopped and spun around. Like it saw, I think there's like a bunch of computer boards and like stuff on the ground. And so the horse saw that and like spooked and totally freaked out. And then it was so tense for his whole ride. And I really felt for him, because that's definitely not what you want to have happen when you're at the Olympics. But I think it really is important to, for you guys to give you a little bit of confidence. Like even these top riders at the Olympics, horses are unpredictable and things happen, and you have to just, do your best and prepare and set it up. But anyone that knows horses knows that, something unexpected can happen and spook your horse, and you can have a tense, crappy ride, and that's just part of it. You have to just do your best, and tomorrow's another day. One of the other riders Kelly Lane, an Australian rider. She said that her horse went in there and was super nervous about being alone, and she had like some major problems in her piaffe. So I feel so much for these riders because we've all been there. If you've ridden enough, you've had a bad ride, or your horse has spooked, or you've been like so embarrassed and just left the arena in tears. Like, we've all been there. So have empathy for someone and never say something bad about someone that has a bad ride, because you know, that could be you out there. So I just think that's really important. And I know a lot of you guys are like fearful of, well, what do other people think? Or what if this happens, then what's going to happen? And you have to kind of forget that. Horses are unpredictable, and we're just going to do the best we can and hope for the best. So yes, Christine, they are not machines. What else? Oh, Dorothy Schneider, her horse has an amazing passage. And yeah, I think we covered a lot of them. Obviously, tonight is the special, and the special will decide the team medals. It's kind of like Germany's way out ahead of everyone. I think Germany's pretty unbeatable. And then I forget who else there is, like Denmark, Great Britain. I think the US is in fourth right now. It's like Denmark, Great Britain, the Netherlands with total US, and then the US. So we'll see how everything pans out. I'm excited for all of you guys. It's so fun to get to watch it and see how much you guys are like posting on Facebook, and just excited about it because it's really, really inspiring to watch and see. And yes, Portugal and Spain are there too. So let's keep cheering everyone on and hoping for awesome rides and hoping they survive the typhoon. And yeah, can we see an Appy in the Olympics one day? Maybe. That would be exciting. So I hope you guys all get to watch the rest of the Olympics, and we'll see who wins. Alrighty, bye everyone.